So we are at Facebook's headquarters today, and I am meeting with students from all over the Silicon Valley, and we're just going to talk about their experiences in schools here in California. So feel free to follow along today, share this post with your followers, and hear what, life in California is like. So I guess the first thing that we like to ask with every roundtable discussion that we do is, what's one thing in your school that you don't think teachers know is happening? And anyone can feel free to start or have that conversation. Okay, go for it.
I think that within our school we have a lot of separate groups, and we've been talking about this all day, is where we have a lot of separate groups and different programs, different sports teams, and they're all very they're all very proud to be those sports teams. They're all very proud to be, we're the Carmel High field hockey team, which me and her are on, and we're really proud of that. And I think a lot of teachers see these groups and they're like, oh cool, our students are getting involved. But the thing is that none of those groups really connect with other groups, and it's a really separated, we don't have school spirit in the traditional sense, because even though we're all very proud to be in the programs that we're in, we are not connected at all the way we would like to be. And I think teachers don't really see that. They hear us say, we don't have school spirit, and they go, but you guys are all good at these things. There is really no deeper connection between a lot of the students at our school. So that's definitely one of the things that teachers don't see the way that we see.
That is definitely hard, to have that very close-knit community when people don't want to connect with each other.
And even in our school, it comes a step further. So that school groups, but because I'm in an all-girls school, we have cliques. So you've got the popular girls and all that, and that can just throw a spanner in the works, because it's you almost feel you can't mix. You can't go up and talk to these people because you're not in their group or whatever. And then teachers just see it and they're like, oh, but everyone's being friends and everyone's smiling at each other, and it's yeah, but because it's an all-girls school, there is a level of bitchiness, and that some person might be smiling at you, but really on the inside they're when you turn your back, they're talking about you in horrible ways.
Another thing that teachers don't know about is drug abuse and stuff like that. That even if you'd want to talk to a teacher or a counselor about something that happened over the weekend, you can't, because they'd automatically report it to your parents, and it would be they don't know what's going on because you can't talk to them about it. Even if you're close to these teachers, you can't talk to them about it because it's gonna get reported. They're forced to report it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of social disconnect between students and teachers a lot of the times. Obviously they're not really in our social circles, so that can be difficult, just kind of bridging the gap between students and teachers that way. And I think when you kind of can connect on a social level with a teacher, that you guys can become closer, and there's more of a connection obviously between you. And getting connected with your teachers, I think, is one of the most important things in high school, especially if you go to a big school. Mark and I go to a really big school, and there's a lot of teachers, and getting to know teachers and make connections with people like that is so important, because that can help you later on. They can get recommendations from them, and they know people who can help you out. So I think there's just a kind of a social disconnect.
Anyone else have thoughts, or we can keep moving on? So how we can, I love starting with some of the issues, but what are some positive ways that you've seen students kind of combat these issues of relationships and community building? Do you have any good examples to share from your schools?
Well, our school has this thing called breaking down the walls. So every year it'd be 2 days, and you can choose to go either day, and they'll have a bunch of activities to kind of build more of a community. And it's a really cool idea, but I feel kind of after that day, people go back to kind of just their group, and it doesn't really do much. So I think that we need more of those days throughout the year.
Yeah. Did someone else have?
I know in our school we have an anti-bullying team set up by the Diana Award, and ever since we've set that up, I even it hasn't fixed the problem, but it certainly helped. Even I know myself, I can be picked on because I'm very enthusiastic enthusiastic and I'm quite bubbly, and some people find that annoying, or it's not exactly cool apparently to be so enthusiastic about things. But even like once you start showing people that, look, this isn't the right thing to do, eventually everyone will catch on, but it takes a lot of hard work.
It definitely is not easy to shape different cultures and make change, for sure.
I think at our school, we're fortunate enough where if students see a problem that they really want to address, our school like backs it up. And because they back it up, you see a lot of student engagement in service clubs. Like we have like a sandwich club at school, and they just make sandwiches for homeless people every week.
Oh,
and
wow.
They ship out I don't know how many hundreds of sandwiches like on a regular basis. And then we also have like our weed club. We have like so many of these clubs that I think the majority of the clubs on campus are geared towards helping a cause rather than just like guys that have stuff in common. So I think that student involvement is really high at our school. People definitely want to make a change.
So just to kind of go off that, I actually go to the same school as Justin does, and essentially the club that I run is called Development Finance and Investment Club, and it can seem as though like, oh, you're in that just to, you know, make money for yourself or to, you know, have financial success. But in reality, our mission statement consists of help others reach their goals before you reach yours. So our board of directors is what we call this, is 4 guys. We essentially, what we do is we take the needs of our group members. For example, if this guy over here were to join our club, if you just joined our club, the first thing we'd require you to do is, what is your goal? What do you want to get out of this thing? And we're going to help you get to that goal. We're going to create a system or like a saving plan, something like that to do that. And I feel like that's a way that our community can come together. I would have known, there's no way I would have known you, but if you had joined my club, then I'd get to know you from that. Let's say I see you in a class, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember you. You had the goal of wanting a car before you graduated, something like that. And it sort of creates these bridges between people. It's not that there was ever a divide, but now we have a connection.
I like that a lot, yeah.
Something I want to do to like combat the separation in my school is that, so I'm the head of the student music council for like our music department, and part of what I've been talking to people lately is getting people who aren't in music to come see our shows and getting our people to go see other things, because I think if we reach out and start supporting other things, that hopefully we can get more support within the groups at our school. But it's just an interesting thing when people have to be willing to reach out, and it's interesting to hear about your guys' school where it seems like people are very willing to reach out and support other groups, and that's like the kind of community I'd like to make completely at our school.
We do kind of that in our ASB. Mark and I are on the board of the whole ASB for the whole school, and we do a thing every week. We have a Legion game, so our all of our ASB, which is 130 kids, and we encourage everybody at the school to go out to just one game every week. We put a spotlight on a different game, so it's not just football, it's not just basketball. We do a different one. We had a water polo one, we do tennis, soccer, volleyball. So we have everybody go out to stuff like that, so that we can kind of foster a supportive atmosphere where we're really supporting everybody. But it's difficult. That's the only hard thing, is getting people out there. But if you kind of make it required, it helps. But at the same time, like, you don't want to force people into doing that. But once you do that, once you make them do it, they see how fun it is, and that kind of carries it on.
So, since, you know, we're definitely talking a lot about social and emotional learning and school climate today at Facebook, what's one word that you would use to describe your school, and we'll just kind of go around and get everyone's voice heard at least once here with this. Do you want to start for us?
You said it's one word to describe.
Just one word to describe your school, yeah. Or who wants to start? We don't have to go on a... Okay. What do you got? Involved. Spirited. Divided.
Diverse.
Grand. Dedicated. Inspired. Brotherhood.
I'm actually still thinking about this one. I want to go think of the same school. I'm going to be pretty harsh and out there. Fake.
Disjoint.
Developing.
Improving.
Also spirited.
Same school. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
I think I have a good one for our school, like to add to the fake.
We'll come back to you.
Despite that, we're really hardworking at what we, in the things that we do. I think that everyone is really hardworking and motivated within those things.
Hardworking and motivated and
You have
fake.
People with really strong hard work.
Yeah, like
Sounds like me. No, I'm
Strong work ethics in there.
yeah, like at those like at our school, you know, we don't really have like that spirit of like the raw, like the loudness you want to hear. But our students are proud of like what they do.
Yeah.
Like I know schools like, you know, they perform rallies and they do all these performances that kids want to do, but our students they don't really want to do that. Just different environments, so we work with what we have. For example, our school is very involved like in athletics, in clubs, and the music and VAPA, all that, and kids spend so much time out of their days, like hours and hours and hours, just working on like that sport, that club. You know, we hear kids, our students, you know, going up to state, going up to nationals and all that, and it's just kind of great how like they're able to bring that back to our school and saying, yeah, we brought that back for like our school. Like, I'm proud to be like a Padre. Not necessarily have like that raw spirit, but you know, having something else go on.
Yeah, just like Diego. So I myself, I'm from Ireland, and it's not common in Ireland to have like, we don't have rallies, we don't have mascots, cheerleaders, like, but like there are students who do work hard in their sports or in their academic areas or like music, and like each of them do their own thing, but we don't have in our school like this spirit where we support everyone. Like the music students support the music students, the athletes support the athletes, so it's a bit chaotic.
Kind of siloed. Okay.
I would say at my school it's like the opposite. We all support each other. Doesn't matter if you're like, at least we all go to the same school, so they can like talk about it too. But I feel like at my school, the music kids support the football team supports the music, the swimmers support the investment club guys. Like it's all the same.
And just to sort of build off that, I can be an example of that. I'm not creative at all. Like, don't ask me to draw anything or paint anything, but I am a huge consumer of visual arts. I love going to the stand-up comedy shows that the school puts on. I love going to the improv shows. I just love to laugh. Like, that's just kind of the person I am. So to find that there's a club on campus that can sort of like satisfy that need, like I love to laugh, help me laugh, and these guys do that. And it's just to support them in that. It's a mutual benefit. I get to know them. My best friend in the entire world is on Sanguine, and the Sanguine Humors is what they call their program. But it's sort of a connection, and it's I have a passion. You act that passion. Tell me about it. Like, talk to me about it. That's how we support each other.
I have a quick question about your school. How many kids do you have?
In each class, there's about 400, so there's about 1,600 of us.
See, I'm curious because I feel like something that's interesting about our school and how we have that separation that's different from your guys' school, but we only have about 800 kids, right?
860.
So what happens is, the thing is, our music students, our football players, everything you have to, in order for our school to function, everyone is doing at least two things, yet somehow we're still not at the same level.
I think
that it's like you guys are obviously at this really cool level of
Yeah.
connection, and it's hilarious that like our people are all involved in like 3 different things, yet they don't even support their own things together. They do it separately. It's interesting.
A large part to do with it is because we're all guys.
Yeah.
I've gone to both, you know, co-ed schools and single-sex schools, and it just like takes out this whole weird dynamic of like having girls there. Like I'm not trying to say like I'm just saying like there is like this weird aspect of like the hunt, like in a co-ed environment, you know, like in the most like brutal, like straight up way, like there is that aspect, and in our like community that's just like not there. But then my sister went to a single-sex all-girls school, and there was totally like the exact same like drama and gossip that there was at a co-ed school, and it was probably amplified if like I just it's like a weird
so
it's just a different
it is
thing.
it's certainly different. So to give you another perspective, our school has a very loose dress code, and given that it's all guys, I don't comb my hair. I usually go in sweats and a t-shirt every day, and I'm able to focus on what I really want to do. I'm not trying to, you know, make myself look good for you over there, like trying to do my hair or something like that. I don't have to do anything like that. It's sort of just relaxed. So you're laughing, everyone, right? You sort of just have this different feel, and it's exactly what Justin said. It's different. it's an interesting dynamic to where you feel almost more confident. There's not as much self-consciousness, like, oh God, I have to look great, I have to do all this, I have to do all that. It's almost like we can divert the attention we normally put to that to our friends' activity, like going to watch these guys running cross country, or going to an investment club meeting, something like that. It's almost like that the attention we have to put to those other things can be put onto supporting our friends.
Also, something that I think our school does pretty well is that like we try to foster a community, like they call it a brotherhood. So it's like we're not just like peers, classmates, friends. We're like brothers. So like we have each other's backs. We're always there for each other. We'll support each other. I think they do a super good job at that.
That's interesting.
I have another question for them, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So obviously you guys are a college prep school. I'm assuming there's an academic focus and a lot of stuff. And I'm curious, how much do you guys feel like we get a lot of, we have a school that's very focused on getting people into high level schools. We're a public school, but it still has a really strong emphasis on that. And we see a lot of competition in some of our classes between and things that shouldn't be a competition. And I'm curious, that's a really negative culture, I think, at our school, and there's a lot of it. And it's not the entire school, but I definitely say there's a large part of the school that contributes to this negative competition. And I'm curious, do you see any of that or no?
No, yeah, for sure.
Well, okay, so
Hold on. Go this way. We'll go 1-4 because I'm guaranteeing I'm gonna have a different opinion.
I think what it is, it's like, from what I noticed from my old school, it's like, my old school, if you did your homework, you're a nerd, and you're like, weird. You go to Bellarmine, and you don't do your homework, like,
You're weird.
that you're like, why would you do that? Like,
Why are you here?
It's just like, I'm not like, I'm not competing against, like, I don't think of myself as competing, like, oh, I have to beat this kid in a test. Like, of course, if you don't like someone, you want to be better. Like,
Yes.
there's that, but it doesn't like totally overcome, like, you're just sitting in the class with the guy and you're both trying to learn, right? It's not like you're trying to step on people.
Right. So I agree with that for the most part, but I feel like it's more personal. Like it differs from person to person. So I definitely know people who are like very competitive and who are like trying to be like the best in every single class and like go to like the best college, and like if they don't, they'll get like really upset and like really angry, and it makes
so many people right now.
Like, and it makes no sense to me, but like that's just the way that some people are. I think that being at like a college prep school, I don't know if it like flames that fire, but like it definitely doesn't help it go down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and just sort of to build up that this actually happened last week. There's a guy that it was in my AP class, macroeconomics, and he gets his test back and he slams it on his desk and he's all upset. He's like, I got a 97.
I hate those people.
I hate you so much right now. But in my head, I'm going, and out loud, I'm like, oh, dude, that's so great. I'm so proud of you. You got a 97. And he's like, I didn't study. I missed so many points. And I'm sitting there with my 91 going, okay, man, sure. So there is definitely a heightened sense of personal competition. I don't feel like that competition sort of extrudes onto you. It's not a competition with you. It's more interpersonal competition that might be funny to somebody else. Like, why are you mad at a 97? But I know that the school as a whole aims to support each other. I'm a tutor for Spanish and history, so I'll help anybody who needs it. I'm trying to bring everybody else up with me so they can have those opportunities to, retain material and, get a head start on college. It's not more of I'm a second percentile in our class. Our school doesn't even rank. We don't do that because that's not what we're about. Everybody needs to be educated. Everybody does that. Right. So I'm sure that must be, it's a different dynamic. And we just don't have that. We're more of the, I've got a 97, you've got a 70, let me help you. Like, we want to help each other.
Wow.
It's that sort of deal.
Like I got 97, you got 70.
Do you guys have anything, or we can? Okay, yeah.
Definitely like freshman year and sophomore year, it was a concern for me, and I noticed it more. But now that like we're seniors and like we're just focused on actually learning the material and like helping other people learn the material. It's not really like about the grade anymore, I don't think, because like our high school app, like our transcript's almost done. Like there's not much room left, but right now we're just trying to learn. That's more of like what I see in it. Like learn the material, bring other people up with us, as Tom said.
Yeah.
And like, I don't see that competition.
So I think this ties really well because, definitely as we talk about like academic rigor and this time of year especially, a lot of seniors are applying to colleges and doing Common App and everything. I'm left wondering what you guys think that does to a mental health community, since you all have a lot of very high performing schools, it sounds like. If you think that we like have this scale where mental health is not balanced as much as academics, or if that's not true.
We have a problem with that.
We have
I mean, I think
major
that there are
problems.
problem.
Yeah.
We had like a giant campaign last year. I know that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and Miss Peace, she's our Student Support Center director.
We were gonna steal
And-
that word.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh.
You're sorry.
Okay. But we had this big campaign, like we partnered with the Student Support Center, ASB did, and we had this giant thing the whole month of May, like trying to raise awareness for mental health, because it's just not something that's talked about very much, and there's a lot of stigma surrounding it, and it makes people uncomfortable to talk about and think about. But obviously everybody has dealt with somebody or themselves dealing with an issue like that, so it shouldn't be something that, you know, should be so stigmatized. But that was like one of our biggest focuses in the end of last year, was like trying to work on getting people to understand that, you know, everyone deals with something like that, and there's always somebody here to support you. But it's difficult, like especially now there's so much stress on students, like going into college, and you have to get into college and go to college to get a good job and all this stuff. I think that there's so much pressure on that can really hurt you, but you aren't really acknowledging it. And that's part of the social emotional learning thing. You know, that's not taught to anybody ever, you know?
Yeah.
So you have to go out of your way to make that something that should be on the forefront, I think.
I mean, just personally, my family has a huge, problem with mental ability and capability. It's not necessarily that it's school related, but my family has a huge history of anxiety and Alzheimer's. So that combination, which is absolutely hereditary, sort of, I can notice it in myself sometimes when school gets really, really challenging, and I have to sort of step back, and I feel like, again, Bellarmine does a great job of supporting us. Like, these guys, I take bullets for them. Like, they're really, really close with me. It's like they're my support system when I need them to be, and it's sort of a community sense in every aspect. You can go up to anybody, even if you've never met them on our campus, and the fact that you go there is your starting point for a conversation. That guy could be your best friend next week. So to have that support, we don't let anybody down. We make sure everybody knows that they are welcome on our campus. They are welcome to talk with us. They're having trouble. Even if I didn't know Quentin, I would just go up to him and say, "Hey, can I talk to you?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, man. What's up?" It's just sort of that vibe where it's,
Wow. That
come
is
to
cool.
me, I'm here for you. And so I think that's huge around those times, especially finals or big tests.
Okay.
I think that's true to a sense, but there's some things where it's like not really okay. Being a college prep, the whole point is like gunning you to go to a good school or whatever. So like if I were to say like I don't really want to go to college, I kind of just want to be a firefighter, and like you don't need to go to college to fight fires, stuff like that. Like that'd be such like a crazy outside thought that people like wouldn't accept it, and then you'd be like really feel down about yourself because you're not a scholarly person when all you're trying to do is like be a firefighter or I don't know, do something else. So like if you're not really following those goals that most people have in common but not everyone does, then you kind of feel bad asking for help about it.
Yeah.
I think that's how the majority of our school feels.
Right.
And I feel like there's a lot of, even when they do our presentations, like I'm a junior right now, and so we get a lot of information thrown at us about colleges, and we have a lot of college representatives coming, and the thing is, I feel like they don't even mention sometimes the California state schools, the wonderful system we have at our disposal to apply to, because our school is so focused and trying to get us into schools, and they add a lot of, I feel like this is an issue at our school that like combined with the other ones that our teachers don't see. Back to the original question, I don't think our teachers always recognize how much our school emphasizes on how well you do on every single thing, and how little a lot of them focus on how much that actually affects you. I mean, there are definitely teachers, like we have one teacher who he teaches really hard classes, but the first thing on the first day of school, he always tells you you learn more in the quad than you will in the classroom, and I think he has a really good outlook on high school in general. And I wish we had more teachers like that, and I wish we had an environment that was more open to the fact that high school isn't necessarily just about getting into a top tier college, and it's a lot about learning how to communicate with people and learning how to a part of a community, and we don't have a focus on that, and I really wish we did. And I wish our teachers fostered that more, because that's something that a lot of them, some of them don't miss it, some of them totally recognize it, and they work really hard in their classrooms to support their students and foster this community. But there's also a lot of teachers that don't even see the fact that they're putting a lot of pressure on our students to do things that isn't necessarily right for everyone. Like, you know, going to a four-year university is not for everyone. Yet our school
And that's okay,
has
yeah.
this idea that you have to, and really you don't. If you don't want to move away from home, like, junior college is a good option for you. If you don't want to go to college, you don't want to go to college. That's fine. But our school doesn't see it that way, and so and since we've been in elementary school, even, I feel like if you've gone to our district, I don't know if any of you have been. None of you have been all the way through the Carmel district, have you? No. Okay, so I've gone to the schools since I was in preschool. I was in the Carmel preschool, Carmel elementary, Carmel middle, Carmel high school, and it is a very weird experience because everyone at every stage of your life is pointing you towards this four-year university. Go get a job in Silicon Valley, which would be really cool, but but that's the only thing. And I think that people feel really trapped and stressed when they don't want to follow that path, which is I wish we were like you guys, where you have this like.
Right.
I mean, I know that there's the college.
Some of us, we're very much pushing towards the.
Yes, but
there's very little exception. If someone, I remember I had a friend last year, and he's taking a gap year, and right now he's working for a nonprofit in New York. But whenever he told people, like, they asked him, "Where are you going to college next year?" Or they didn't even ask him, like, "What are you doing next year?" They just asked, "Where are you going to college next year?" And he said, "I'm taking a gap year." And they would just like give him this like look, like, "Are you?"
Okay.
Like,
wow.
You're not going to college.
Right. Our school.
I think the supportive part of your school, though, between like the students would help combat that. I mean, I know that the college thing is probably the same.
That's awesome.
But it would be cool if we had that support within the students, and maybe it would make the rest of it a little easier to deal with.
I can certainly understand that. So it's essentially an added stress and an added pressure that you don't feel is necessary from the people who are supposed to be supporting you the most.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, and I feel like I have so many friends where, if looking at my close group of friends, most of them, their parents have a specific college they want them to go to.
Yeah.
A specific, you should get in there. If you don't get in there, like your siblings did, like your parents did, then you are not.
Oh wait, we're at Facebook.
Like, reshare.
Reshare, yeah.
Comment.
So much of that at our school, and with the parents, I feel like the parents are obviously a contributing factor. I don't know how that is at. I'm assuming if they said if put you in college prep school, I feel like. So like the parents don't even understand, and the parents don't realize what's happening to the kids, because I think you guys probably see there's really high rates of depression and anxiety, like to the point where I can count, like, of my close friends, like how many have been on medication for things, and that's sad because like it's higher than 50%, and our school should not be inflicting that upon teenagers when the reality is that our school is inflicting that upon teenagers, and I feel like that's something that I don't know how we fix that, but that is
not even in college too. Like, you go to our school, and like if you don't take the AP for that, let's say you're taking chemistry. If you're not taking like AP chemistry, like you're considered like dumb. Like,
you're dumb.
Yeah. Other schools, like, if maybe chemistry isn't your thing, let's say you're a really good writer, don't really want to do like the math or physics of it, and you just take the regular classes. Like, people need to learn like that's still okay to just take the regular classes because you're not into it. Just because you're not taking, you're like in the regular class, you're seen as like this like hierarchy, because our school is so involved in like academics, which is kind of bad, because when you see, oh yeah, you're in the regular math, like who are you? But then like you look at other people, like I just want to become like a writer, and they're focused so much on English classes, doing what they love, but then that peer pressure is adding to it.
I didn't take AP World last year, which is like the only sophomore AP, and I remember all my friends going, "Oh my God, you're not taking AP World? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you do that?" Freaking out, and I'm like, it doesn't interest me, and that was the biggest shock to all my friends, and they still wonder. They're like, "Why didn't you take AP World last year?"
Well, there goes your chance. Like, people say that, like, there
really
go your chances too.
But it does matter in our school in our school culture. It's really weird.
So I feel like our schools are like really similar, but like how is our schools different than you guys?
I wanted to say something.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Westmont here, but I am a new student. I my old school was a private school in Brazil, and a lot of what you guys brought up about the mental health and teachers not really paying attention to their students and pushing them and not giving them a break is how my old school was. They are in the IB program, so their whole focus is like, okay, so you're going to complete this program and then you're going to go off to college. No gap year, nothing. You can't really party, and the students do, because how else are they supposed to relax? And so all the students, they're like, okay, so you take 6 classes. There's higher level and standard level, and there's these kids that we're taking higher level math, but like all throughout their whole school career, but once they got to the IB part, they were like, nope, you can't do higher level, you're not built for it. And it really, really discouraged them. Because the school kept pushing them like, you have to take higher level math, you have to do this and this, but then the teachers are like, you can't do it, you're not ready for it, you have to go to bed. It was really devastating. To one of my friends, she had a complete breakdown over it, and oh my god, it was horrible. And it's just that type of environment, it's poisonous, I think. But once I came to Westmont, none of it's like that. Like, they're like, okay, so what do you want to do? Oh, like, that's okay, we're just gonna help you. Like, one of my history teachers was like, what are your goals? And some kids were just like, I just want to graduate. And he was like, okay, we're gonna get you to graduate. Like, he was like focusing on each student instead of like, I'm gonna push you all into college. And I feel like that's
awesome.
That's like the different environments that we have.
Not to need to put an end to such a great discussion here, but I think we probably do need to get back after our lunch break here. But really quick, I think I do want to hear from everyone again. Just maybe close us out with one thing you would change if you were tasked with rethinking how your high school works. What is the one thing that you would change or add or take away? And we can start wherever, I suppose.
I would like to have more like student-teacher relationships.
Okay.
We went to the same school, and that's what we talked about, is having more of our students united and connected, feel like they belong to the school, along with the staff.
I wish that my friends and I made other people feel welcome in the school.
Okay.
Feel less pressure to do something.
Less pressure?
Yeah.
I would change the focus to make everyone feel included. That already happens mostly, but there are like some instances where like people fall out of that. I would just like try to bring them back in.
Okay.
I would like want teachers to be like what like they're passionate about teaching, because I strongly believe that teachers like really influence like your interest in like who you become as a person and like what your job is, because some teachers teach just to get money as their livelihood, so they don't really like care about the student and like their actual job. Sounds bad, but like it's kind of true. So like I would change like to only have teachers who are like really like in-depthly passionate about like their subject to like really inspire the student in that like area.
Yeah, definitely bring that to the teaching profession back to a higher level that it deserves, I think, for sure.
I would probably have every counselor. This isn't necessarily a class basis. I know there's a lot of differences between the classes we take and the way that they're taught. I would have every counselor know the student's goal and help them get to that goal, rather than making it sort of individualize the issue rather than sort of clump it together, as everybody's been pointing out.
Yeah.
I'd rather have everybody write down their goal, like go to college, go into the military, whatever it is, and have that goal or help them achieve that goal rather than just generalize the
Yes.
I think that I would have more open discussion both in the classroom and outside of the classroom among like teachers and students, and then also just among the students themselves.
So just more dialogue. Okay.
I think a more personalized working schedule. Some people they just, for if they have a learning difference, or whether they just have a different style of learning, because I have a learning difference, so I know having a different curriculum, I'm not going to be able to read 30 pages in one night. It's just not happening. Having the teachers have it so that it's adjustable. I don't know.
Yeah.
That kind of sounds impossible.
Yeah. No, that'd be great if every student would have an individualized education plan, for sure.
I think that I'd want to try to emphasize in my school that the only person you should be in competition with ever is yourself, and that maybe if we were all working towards our own goals instead of social connection problem that we have.
I think if it was up to me, I would probably like have more of a system like I know in France, because my mom stayed there for a year, like they had kids take different courses to figure out what they like to do and what they wanted to learn about. So they got to choose, like in high school, like, oh, I'm not very interested in science, so I'll take a different class. Because that helps them with a lot more with what do I want to do in the future. Because for me, like I know right now, I have no clue what I want to do. And if I got to take different classes than the ones I have to take, I would be more open to figuring out what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I would do the same as Taylor. I would like make sure the classes are useful. Like I don't need to know the quadratic formula to be like a writer. Yeah, exactly. So so I would also make it way less stressful. I know,
To make it in Time magazine, you need to answer one question.
I couldn't think of anything else. But yeah, I would make it way less stressful, because if we just narrowed it down to maybe like what we think we want to do, we'd actually have time to think and not just be stressed about what we have to do all the time.
Yeah, I think that would just save tons of money in college. It would help students graduate in less than 5 and 6 years, and yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like I would say, like changing the goals of us instead of just having like a school goal, because I know people that go into it, because like a peer pressure, like, hey, you have to take like this AP, and like they go into it, they hate it, they spend all this this time, and like if they don't even want to like become that. So I feel like if counselors like go and talk to you about like saying what are their interests in, and say, okay, then maybe you shouldn't really take the class if you don't want to, like something that will benefit you. They outreach, okay, there's these great programs like, that you can do like over the summer, like things that will interest you, rather than like what the school like thinks of it. Just because we have all these APs does not mean take every single one of them, and a lot of students take in consideration, no, I have to take every single one of them, otherwise, like if I'm taking one regular course, I'm not going to get into my dream school.
I think I would change the relationships between the teachers and the counselors, and like that the teachers and counselors get to know the students on a personal basis, so that they're able to relate to their students more and understand what's really going on in their lives and what might be hindering them from being able to do as well in certain classes, or just to like bring them up when they're going through tough times, because it makes it a much more friendly environment for the students and makes it a more enjoyable place for you to be, and it just creates good friendships. Yeah.
Cool. So we just went around and, to close this out, asked like what one thing you would change about your school. So if you have anything.
I guess I kind of...
Not to put you on the spot, but...
I kind of agree with Diego about the AP kind of a thing. I feel like there's a lot of unnecessary pressure, like socially and through the school, to take all the APs that you can. Like, the amount of APs you take in high school, I don't think it's going to define what kind of a person you're going to be in the future. I feel like it should be really.
Do you have anything else to add? Not really.
Value creativity and uniqueness.
Cool.
Preach.
Yeah. Cool. Love it. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure to follow us, Student Voice online, and we will follow back. Cool.